I don't think it's a great surprise to tell you that I collect pocket watches. I mean, hey, the name of the channel is called PocketWatchTime. But I will tell you something interesting about collecting pocket watches. Or I guess maybe collecting anything. As time goes by, sometimes instead of falling deeper into love, you actually fall a little bit out of love. And that's what's happened to me with this little pocket watch, this somewhat special pocket watch. This is the 10 size Maximus A by the Waltham Watch Company. Welcome to another episode of Pocket Watch Time. My name is Patrick W. As I somewhat alluded to in the introduction, I've kind of fallen out of love with this pocket watch. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful little pocket watch. It's in absolutely great condition, it's in a solid 14-karat gold case, and surprisingly, it actually has a lot of personality. And that's not so common in a pocket watch. It does have one minor little fault. The original crystal must have been lost some time ago. This big bulky plastic crystal on this watch is nowhere near original, and to be honest, I hate it. And I guess it's a bit of the story of this crystal that makes me kind of fall out of love with this watch. So let me give you a little quick background. The Waltham Watch Company is one of my favorite pocket watch brands. They were based out of Waltham, Massachusetts. They had the biggest watch company in all the Americas at the time, and they produced some mighty fine watches. And well, this is one of them. The creme de la creme of their brand was the Maximus watch, and this version is called the Maximus A. And what that means, this watch is not just only a Maximus, but it's actually one of their thinner Maximuses. And in there lies the problem. I think it's taken me years and years of collecting pocket watches to realize that I don't think I really like thin pocket watches. I know all the hype in the watch world, particularly the wristwatch world, is to have these beautiful thin watches. And I guess that's great and all when it comes to wristwatches. I guess with current technical specs in the modern watchmaking world, thin watches can be made with tighter tolerances and everything just works a little bit better. But back in the 1900s when this watch was produced, well, I don't think they had those tolerances. Don't get me wrong, this watch is beautiful and it's made super well, and everything works just the way it's supposed to. And as you can see, it does work just fine. It's hard to top a more satisfying sound than the ratchet wheel winding and a pocket watch springing to life. The problem, man, when things don't work, they don't work. And that's the issue I have with this watch and the other two watches on the desk right now. This is my Maximus A collection. Thin, beautiful, prestige watches that for me now are just a little too thin. A little too delicate, they just don't feel substantial enough. And I also feel like I have to baby them. It only takes one little bump, and then one of those hands gets dislodged, and then, well, your whole day is spent trying to get that hand perfectly placed so that it doesn't bump into the other hands, and it doesn't bump into the crystal. And that brings us back to the beginning. That's why there's a cheap, crappy looking plastic crystal on this watch. Since the original crystal was damaged, a replacement crystal just hasn't been found. The replacement crystals are either too tall and make it look dumb, or they're too shallow and the hands can't make it around a rotation without bumping into the hands or bumping into the top of the crystal. Totally aggravating. And to get past that aggravation, I guess someone found this really junky crystal with super high tolerances so that the hands can fit without any problems. And sure, it works. And yeah, it doesn't even look that bad unless you look at it by profile. But as it turns out, it just makes me not really like this watch or this style of watch very much. I do love prestige pocket watches. The more jewels, the more glitz, the more glamour, that's my style of pocket watch. But I've just decided I don't think I really care about extra thin. Extra thin just means extra fragile to me now. And frankly, I think I'd rather just have a small pocket watch that was a little bit more thick, a little bit more rugged, and could take a bump just a little bit more than one of these pocket watches. There is a little mystery with this watch, and I don't understand it. Not only do I have this one pocket watch in the gold case, but I also have its mirror image movement sitting here naked in a container. As you can tell, the dial is exactly the same, the movement looks exactly the same, but this one wheel does have some extra markings. I find it interesting that such a small batch of watches, that obviously were built around the same time, would have some different features, and I think that's actually pretty cool. That shows that the Waltham Watch Company was evolving and growing as a watch manufacturer. But that still doesn't change my opinion. This thin model, well, it's just too thin. And to really show off the thinness, since of course this gold model just doesn't look that thin thanks to that big crystal. This white gold model, well, it might just show you how thin it really is. I think this watch is absolutely beautiful, but it just feels so delicate in the hand. Yes, thankfully this one has a crystal that's the right size and shape and it allows all the hands to move. But man, I don't even want to put this watch in my pocket. I'm afraid I'm going to bump it and mess everything up. And not that I carry pocket watches too often, but I really don't want to walk around like a man made out of glass while I'm wearing this pocket watch. So as you can see, I've had a bit of a change of opinion. Don't get me wrong, I still love the Waltham Watch Company, and I still love their Maximus grade pocket watches. By the way, I just picked up a beautiful new Maximus. Video coming soon. But I do think that I've fallen out of love with the Maximus A version, which, as I said, is the skinnier version. And this one is the extra skinnier version because this is the 10 size Maximus A. And not only is it smaller than a normal 12 or 16 size pocket watch, but now it's even thinner. So this thin and this small, it just feels fragile. Does that mean I might sell off this pocket watch? Well, I haven't decided yet. But I definitely know I'm not collecting anymore. And I guess that's what happens when you're a collector. Just like the Waltham Watch Company, you evolve. Maybe when you started collecting wristwatches, you collected big bulky Panerais. And maybe now you wear dainty Patek Philippe's. I don't think my pocket watch love has changed too much. I've always preferred the higher jeweled, prestige model pocket watches. I love the 12 size, I love the 6 size. Man, I even like some of the 0 size. But I think my collecting days are over when it comes to thin watches. So let me know what you think. If you're a pocket watch collector, what's your preference? If you're a wristwatch collector, what's yours? Are you afraid of a watch that's just too thin? Does the fragile nature of those close together pieces scare you and make you not want to wear the watch? Because that's what I'm finding, at least for me. So let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching this episode of Pocket Watch Time. I hope I didn't upset too many of the thin watch collectors out there. I'll catch you next week in a new episode. Take care. If you enjoyed this content, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel. I make weekly videos regarding tons of horological topics, including wristwatches, pocket watches, and current topics regarding watch collecting and the watch market in general. Please leave a like, or maybe even a comment or a question. The YouTube algorithm loves it when you do that, and it helps the channel. And speaking of helping the channel, I've got 2 avenues where you can donate to the channel. You can join right here on YouTube by becoming a YouTube member, or you can follow the link in the description and join my Patreon. Thank you, I really do appreciate it.